All right, and welcome to the Outsiders Podcast. Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger here, getting ready to bring on a very special guest, Darcy DeMoss. You guys remember Hard Bodies, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. She plays Nikki. That is the best Friday sequel, by the way.
Best death scene in the series right there. Nikki's going through the wall, her face going through the back wall of the camper there.
Oh, that's my favorite death in the entire series. Of course, she was recently voted hottest Friday the 13th girl of the entire series, and I say that goes past and present.
We haven't even mentioned, I hope this doesn't put too much pressure on her, but she is the first woman to be a guest on the Outsiders Podcast.
That does put a lot of pressure. Right here, we're glad to have her. It's going to be great because we're going to ask her about Can't Buy Me Love. Of course, she was in that with Patrick Dempsey. She got to co-star in that with him. She coined the phrase about Patrick Dempsey in the film. Ronald has gone from totally geek to totally chic. That's in that famous 80s classic, Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't forget that she was in Full House with John Stamos, Bob Saget, Dave Coulier, and the rest of the cast there. Great TV series, cult TV series. She was in cult movies.
Yeah, lots of them. She showed up around in the 80s and early 90s up to the mid-90s. She was in a lot of stuff, Reformed Schoolgirls. She was actually in the Britney Fox video for Girls School, which is a great song. A lot of people, would probably disagree with me on that being a great song, but I think it is. As she was in that, she's one of those girls. She pops up in a lot of things that you've seen. USA Up All Night, movies like that. She is in a lot of them. She is incredibly gracious and beautiful. Cannot think her up. In fact, she's a childhood crush. And Noah, do you dare me? I'm going to ask her about it. I'm going to tell her once and for all that she is my childhood female actress crush. It just is.
What's going to happen there with your girlfriend and Darcy? What if Darcy says she's ready to come to Clint Schweitzer?
Man, this is going to be a tough one. We hope that it doesn't come to that, or do we? We're going to find out.
People can hate that Britney Fox song all they want, but it's your podcast, not theirs. You can have her on. It's your say. We've got her on the podcast right now.
Our next guest is known for being one of the sexiest actresses from the 1980s, appearing in such films as Can't Buy Me Love, Hard Bodies, and Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. It is our pleasure to welcome to the Outsiders Podcast, the beautiful Darcy DeMoss.
And it is our pleasure right now, guys, here on the Outsiders Podcast to bring on the beautiful Darcy DeMoss. Darcy, how are you doing, sweetheart? It's good to hear from you.
Oh, I'm fantastic today. Thank you. I have my health, so I have everything.
Oh, absolutely. And Darcy, I tell you what, we've been, before we brought you on, we were talking about a lot of your work. Of course, you guys remember from Hard Bodies, Return to Horror High, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6, my personal favorite one of the series, by the way. Can't Buy Me Love, appeared on Full House, and in a Britney Fox video, Girls School, which I'm actually a big fan of that song. Not a lot of people knew you were in that one, Darcy. But so tell me, we go back to your career in the 80s. You have recently even been brought up as the hottest Friday the 13th girl of all time. Of course, you appeared in Jason Lives Part 6. That was 1986. How do you feel about that? Do you embrace that? The fans love you, Darcy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, what an honor, and how did that come to be?
This was a poll on a very prestigious Friday the 13th website, Darcy. We take it seriously. You're the hottest one, and we're going to take that for what it's worth because it's true.
Well, all I want to do is thank everybody for voting for me. The fans are so amazing, and I really appreciate it. That's a big, big honor because there's so many hot Friday the 13th chicks.
There are, but let's also bring up the fact that that also goes for past and present. Because you fast forward to 2013, and you still take all of them down. I can tell you that much right now. But you, of course, play the character of Nikki in that movie. Tell us kind of how you got involved. Of course, Tom McLaughlin directed a great sequel to the series. Tell us how you got involved with the Jason series. And, of course, you attend all the horror conventions. You're still there to this day meeting the fans. How do you feel just about being involved with the series?
Well, I actually was cast in Part 5. And I went in for my second callback, and the director asked me to show him my breasts, and I said, "Excuse me," because nobody had warned me. So I was hired, and it was, I think it was Halloween evening, and the director wanted me to have dinner with him, and I had plans, and the next day I didn't have a job. Wow. But the contracts were signed, everything was still in ink, and I was actually paid to be in Part 5. And then they brought me in for Part 6, and I read for Tom, and they said, when you meet Frank Mancuso Jr., act like you haven't met him. He's the casting director. So I went in, and as giddy as can be, I booked the job. And what I do love about Tom McLaughlin is he puts so much humor into it. And it was so approachable as a director and so real. And I just love when the mobile home is moving, it's kind of like an I Love Lucy episode, and there's little strings of where the photographs were in the Winnebago because it wasn't actually moving; it was all me. So it was a great challenge and a lot of fun.
Well, and of course, you did the close-on scene with Tom Friedley, who another guy we're definitely in contact with. How was that? I mean, how did that come about? Was it based on the fact you didn't want to do the the breast scene in part 5, and they said, hey, we'll just keep the clothes on and we'll make it happen in part 6?
It wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It was that I wasn't prepared to walk in and bare all.
I heard that guy was a porn director.
Actors need a little bit of notification just to prepare themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the casting directors were a little appalled as well, and as anybody who's big on the series, the woman that they hired had ginormous breasts. So.
Well, and your death scene, of course, which is one of also the most famous death scenes in Friday the 13th series. Of course, everybody remembers the Winnebago, but of course, you get your head thrown by Jason through a prefabricated wall. Now, exactly. I heard that was filmed somehow underwater or something. Can you shed some light on that?
What happened was they had made a makeshift Winnebago, so there was a camera above, and they could take any wall out, so they could film it from every angle. And I'm only 5'2.5", and I actually have the longest fight scene with Jason out of any of his victims, because normally he just puts a sword through or his knife through you, or cracks your neck open, or breaks your back, what have you.
Sure.
But I really did fight with him, and my co-star was really fantastic, and I said, just let's go for it.
Oh,
and I had battle wounds and bruises the next day, and I was wearing them proudly.
Well, your character, Nikki, she was pretty feisty. We didn't get to see a whole lot of her, but you definitely was not to be messed with. She took Jason on there pretty good. And C.J. Graham, of course, did a great job as Jason. But now, in later years, there's been so many horror conventions, Jason marathons, Friday the 13th. You go out there and you meet the fans. A lot of people like to distance themselves from the series, but not you, Darcy. You're there. You love meeting the fans. Just tell us some of your experiences, on the circuit.
I really do embrace that. It's great fun, and there are some really heavy-duty fans. They have Jason tattoos on their calves and on their arms, their chest, their back, and it's really fun and interesting to meet everybody that's out there that has had a great time with the series. So I just really enjoy meeting everybody, and why not? Why not have fun with it?
What was it like working with Patrick Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love? You said he went from total geek to total chic in the film, and that really seemed to happen to Patrick in real life.
Well, Patrick has always been dreamy, so Dr. McDreamy seems to fit him well. He's a fantastic actor. He was very professional. In Can't Buy Me Love, I seduce him, and so I was a little bit nervous about filming that scene, so I needed to take control, so I knocked on his trailer, and I said, well, I'm a little nervous. Can I kiss you?
Wow.
He said, sure, come on in. So we got that out of the way, so my acting would, work out in my benefit, so I wouldn't be nervous in front of a group of people for a first-time kiss.
Well, that's just such a classic film. I mean, that movie to this day is still as revered as it ever was. It's almost on a cult level. I mean, just being involved with something like that. You were definitely one of those 80s chicks that you should in a lot of these movies. Everyone knew who you were. You were always the hot chick, the hot brunette. Like, you just had a different look. Like, you had Cindy Mancini in that movie was a blonde. Did you think being a brunette kind of in those situations helped you out?
I don't know if it helped me out. I heard a lot of times that I was too ethnic, I was too this, I was too that. But I had a lot of fun working with Amanda Peterson and Tina, and they were both 15 years old when I worked with them. I was 23.
Wow, yeah, that's definitely a lot. And of course, you always hear about older people playing high school students. That was you, but of course, they were actually the right age. But another one I want to touch on is Hard Bodies, because that was a classic USA Up All Night movie that would play forever. You played Dee Dee, I believe, was the character's name.
Correct.
And you you get to go partying with these older dudes. Tell us about working on it, because that looked like it was filmed around Venice Beach. Looks like just such fun to film that, to be a part of that. Like, tell us about Hard Bodies.
Well, that was my very first film, and I got my Screen Actors Guild card through that. So I do have a great love for Hard Bodies. It was a tough shoot. It was, incredibly low budget, and it was long, hard hours, and we were in cold water on the beach and, in the ocean. But, I was driving to the set and thinking about the night before, because the turnaround was about 8 hours. So, the drive was about an hour. So I really only got about 6 hours sleep. And I remember everybody kind of complaining about, the turnaround and having to get back to work so fast. And I went, well, this is what you've been dreaming and wishing for. So let's just have the best time we possibly can. And, be careful what you wish for, because dreams do come true.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, I mean, in the movie, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing for you personally, but you wind up with one of the older guys in a car. You had the hookup scene.
Rounder.
Yes, yeah, Rounder. There was the really good-looking actor. I forget his name. That played Scotty. Were you hoping for a scene with him, or did Rounder take care of you?
Yeah, I can't think of his first name, and he's actually, we still see each other. It was a lot of fun, and in fact, I had to break through the rooftop into candy glass, and I was a little concerned about it, and they said, oh no, it'll be fine, it just, make sure you cover your head. Well, the candy glass broke around me, and I was topless in sharp shards.
Wow.
So I still have a little scar on my back from it, so I take a piece of every little bit of work and keep it with me at all times.
Oh, absolutely. And you went on to do so many movies in the 80s and the 90s. But you were in a movie as recent as 2009. Like, you're still out there, you're still doing stuff. Tell us about your career today, what you're up to, things like that, where we can check you out.
Well, I got involved in photography. I went on my first safari to Africa, and I came back with a lot of photographs, and I blew them up, and I put them in a portfolio, and I walked into my first gallery, and the ladies that owned the gallery said, let's give you a show. So I had my first exhibit, and that was 9 years ago, and I've been photographing wildlife ever since. I'm currently working on 3 books. It's a labor of love, of course, and now when all the bookstores are closing, it's a little it's a little challenging, but it will prevail, and they're all photographs. They're coffee table books.
Oh wow! I mean, you were in a ton of cult classic films throughout the 80s and 90s, and you also got to be part of a cult classic TV show in Full House. What was it like, your experience working with Bob, Dave, John, and the rest of the gang?
Oh, everybody was sensational, and it was a lot of fun. I had gone in a couple of times for roles in the past. So one of them I had to sing, and I said, I can't sing. Oh, you'll be fine. So I came back for the callback, and I sang, and they kind of put their hands in their ears, fingers in their ears, and I said, I told you I couldn't sing. But they brought me back, and I had a blast. It was really, really lovely. And working in front of a live audience is quite something.
Yeah, definitely different doing the TV versus the movie thing. But I'll tell you, before we let you go, I've got to make a personal confession, Darcy, and that is the fact that you are literally one of my childhood crushes growing up. In all the movies, you were just it. You had the look. Jason Lives was my favorite movie growing up, and I still love Alice Cooper to this day because of the songs in it. But are you going to ruin the dream for me right now? Are you married, kids these days? What's the deal? Are you going to ruin the dream for me, or are you still out there?
Well, maybe I should just keep my lips sealed.
Oh, well. Well, that's...
Actually, I am celebrating my 13th anniversary tomorrow.
That's awesome. That's
Together
awesome.
16 years. So in Hollywood years, that's like 70.
I was going to say, my goodness, you have bucked all the trends for sure. But I'll tell you what, Darcy, we've had... Here at this podcast, we have athletes. We've had Peter Engel on, from the creator of Saved by the Bell. We've mostly had all men on this show. It is so great to catch up with someone like you that everybody remembers, everybody talks about to this day, all the Friday the 13th fans, all the fans that Can't Buy Me Love. You are just such a wonderful person, and it's so good to talk to you, and I cannot thank you enough, honestly.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I just want to send a shout out to everybody that's listening, and send love and light and happiness, and be happy.
Absolutely. And Darcy, feel free to come over to our page, The Outsiders Podcast, on Facebook, promote anything you've got going on. We would be happy to touch base with you anytime we're out in California and help you any way we can, Darcy. We really would.
Well, you can check out my websites. I've got one. It's Exotic Visuals, EXOTICVISUALS.com. That's my photography. And the other is Darcy DeMoss, DarcyDemoss.com. And that's my acting site.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get those up for you. We'll be checking them out. Darcy, you're a sweetheart. Cannot thank you enough. You take it easy out there, and we'll keep in touch, okay?
Flint, you be well. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Darcy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The sexy Darcy DeMoss on the Outsiders Podcast. You heard it right here, talking about her roles in Jason Lives, Hard Bodies, and of course, Can't Buy Me Love. She's just what a wonderful woman to have on. She's so beautiful. We're so thankful to have her on.
Sounded like if she wasn't married, she might have come to Clint Schweitzer.
There was
sounded like it.
Hey,
yeah.
it was a bit ambiguous. It left it open, just like the Friday the 13th creators always left each movie open for another sequel. She left it open for me.
She's like 13th anniversary, but
we are Facebook friends.
We'll see what happens in the future.
She might have seen my pictures. Who knows? She might have checked me out on Facebook. We don't know. We are Facebook friends, and thank goodness she came on today, because here at the Outsiders Podcast, we talk to so many athletes, so many people from the world of sports. It is so gratifying for us.
Refreshing.
It is refreshing to talk to people that we grew up watching in movies and on television. It is wonderful for us. We hope you guys enjoy it, because we know that if we watched all these people growing up, you did too. So we know you guys want to hear this, and keep bringing them on. Go to the Outsiders Podcast page on Facebook. Let us know who you'd like to have on next, and we will do our best to bring them on the Outsiders Podcast. No,
It was a complete thrill and honor to interview all these actors and football players that we've had on. Any guest that we've ever had on, it's a complete thrill and honor, and we cannot thank Darcy DeMoss enough for coming on today.
Absolutely, you guys. Be sure to check her out, her website. Keep it going, Darcy DeMoss, and she is always coming out. Her photography's taken off. She's got books coming out. Be sure to check out the websites.
DarcyDeMoss.com and ExoticVisuals.com. Make sure to check those out for her pictures, her photography, and her acting website.
I'll be doing it. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groniger here at the Outsiders Podcast. We thank you for joining us, and catch us next time.